Hello and welcome into another edition of The Final Drive here on DMVSTREAM.COM. I'm Jeremy Huber here with you as we are every Friday during high school football season. And again, and a wacky week when it came to high school football in the DMV. Had some big upsets. We'll get you up to date on all of them as we move through the night. Again, lots to talk about. Of course, we cover it all when we talk about DMVStream.com. So we cover the district, Maryland, Virginia, the private schools. We do it all here on DMV Stream here on The Final Drive. If you want to get in touch with us, go ahead and do it via Twitter at DMV Stream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMV Stream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Lots to talk about on the show tonight. We mentioned some upsets. We will go ahead, check in with a couple coaches who helped pull those upsets tonight. That list includes head coach of the Broadneck Bruins, Rob Harris. His squad with a stunning 7-0 upset over undefeated Old Mill, the top seed in Maryland's 4A East region. Bruins had played them tough during the season. They play them even tougher tonight, returning the opening kickoff for a touchdown and then giving up no more points the rest of the night, not scoring any more points the rest of the night, but also going ahead and getting the win. Of course, it's also championship weekend in 2 leagues. The WCAC, of course, with their huge championship game this weekend, as it'll be DeMatha taking on Good Counsel, 5 p.m. start on Sunday night at the University of Maryland's Byrd Stadium. Have a special treat for you tonight, as had a chance to catch up with the legendary Bob Malloy, head coach of the Good Counsel Falcons. Of course, years at Springbrook, Sherwood, state championships galore there. Then, of course, winning plenty of WCAC titles as well. We'll catch up with Coach Malloy, talk about that game. That'll be coming up on the show later on in just a bit. Also, the VISA Championship this weekend. That's the Virginia Independent Schools. We'll go ahead and check in with the head coach of the Bishop Ireton Cardinals, looking to win that championship, Tony Verducci. They face off with Benedictine tomorrow. We'll hear from Coach Verducci as well. Also, we'll hear from the head coach of the Eastern Ramblers. That would be Jason Strickland. Coach Strickland's crew knocked off Theodore Roosevelt last night in a DCIA Stripes semifinal. They'll face off with Bell. That's a rematch of last year's Stripes championship game, of course, at the Gravy Bowl. They'll go ahead and play that one. Then also on the line in that one would be a berth in the DCSAA state championship against either Wilson or either Murray or Sidwell Friends. So a lot to talk about on the show tonight. We're going to go ahead and run down scores for you right now. We'll start in DC, the DCIA Stars Division, as number 1 Wilson stayed alive in the playoffs. Not by much, though. It was a close one for Wilson. They're able to go ahead and beat Blue 37-34. Of course, those two locked up during the regular season. They lock up again tonight, and boy, was it a close one as Wilson goes ahead and gets the win 37-34. They advance to the Turkey Bowl, played on Thanksgiving Day. That will be faced off against the old tried and true standby H.D. Woodson. They were the number 2 seed. They beat Dunbar tonight 29-7, so it'll be Wilson and Woodson in the Turkey Bowl this Thanksgiving coming up. And, of course, Wilson looking for a Turkey Bowl win. Woodson seemingly does them all the time. We'll see exactly who's able to go ahead and get the win this week, but it should be a fun one in the Turkey Bowl this time around. DCIA Stripes, those were played yesterday, those semifinal matchups. Number 1 seed Bell routed McKinley Tech 50-16. Well, it was number 2 Eastern beating Theodore Roosevelt 47-12. Remember, Bell and Eastern in the Gravy Bowl. That'll be played on Tuesday night. because of they had to push games back because of the bad weather earlier in the year. So Bell and Eastern will have to play. They played last night. They're going to play on Tuesday night, and then they'll come back and play on Saturday. One of them, as they will move on in the DC State playoffs. Have to play that game against the winner of the Murray and Sidwell Friends game. That'll be played tomorrow at Anacostia. That's actually the Class A semifinal game, a 1 p.m. start for that contest tomorrow between Murray and Sidwell Friends. Remember, winner of that one will get next week. They'll face off with the winner of Bell and Eastern in the championship game. Over to Maryland, where we saw some upsets there. A big one in 4A West is number 3 Northwest rebounded from their regular season loss to number 1 seed Quince Orchard and beat the Cougars 50-40. A shootout win in that one. Mark Pierce had another great game for Northwest as the Jaguars again have a chance to keep their hopes alive for a third straight state championship. Of course, Mark Pierce, the quarterback for Northwest, has never lost a playoff game in his high school career, so he's looking to go ahead and finish it out perfect as Northwest beats Quince Orchard tonight 50-40. In 4A South, no surprises there as top seed Wise beat Eleanor Roosevelt 33-14. 4A North, top seeded Howard advanced to a second straight state semifinal as they beat Sherwood 34-14. So Howard back in the state semifinals for a second straight year. Then the big upset tonight, it was in 4A East as Broadneck beat number 1 seed Old Mill 7-0. Bruins returned the opening kickoff of the game. No one else scored rest of the way. Ali Nimatalolo, Ken Nimatalolo's son, the head coach of Navy, had a great game on defense tonight, and the Bruins able to get some revenge for a regular season loss to Old Mill and a loss in the playoffs last year where it was Broadneck who was the undefeated team. They beat Old Mill tonight 7-0. Running down some more from Maryland 3A West, it was number 1 seed Damascus all over number 3 seed Seneca Valley in 3A West. Swarman Hornets continue their unbeaten season 45-3. Last word, we had Jake Funk with 4 touchdowns in that game. He moved into second place tonight on the all-time Maryland high school touchdowns list. 3A South sees number 2 Wheaton and number 1 Potomac. That one tomorrow, a 1 p.m. start at Potomac. In 3A North, it was Franklin falling to Dundalk 20-16. This one's significant because Franklin, of course, were your state champions last year, beat Damascus. So no revenge this year for the Swarman Hornets, but who knows, maybe a little bit easier track. We'll see in that one. Also, 3A East, number 1 seed Reservoir continue their great season as they beat Howard County rival Glenelg 10-7 to move on into the state semifinals. Also, 2A West saw number 2 seed in 2A West South Carroll fall to number 4 seed Walkersville 17-14. 2A South, that's the only one with local teams in 2A. Saw number 2 seed Patuxent edge number 4 seed Gwynn Park by a score of 16-14. Chris Long for Patuxent with 2 touchdown runs in that contest. 2A North saw number 4 seed Dunbar upset number 2 seed Patterson. 2A East saw number 1 seed North Carolina beat number 3 seed Elkton 35-14. North Carolina should be the number 1 seed in that. We'll get you a rundown of what the Maryland playoffs will look like next week. 1A West, only local in this one was number 2 seed Forestville in 1A North, and the Knights did a great job tonight as they routed number 1 seed Manchester Valley 50-6. Number 1 seed in 1A West and 2-time defending state champ Fort Hill beat number 3 seed Allegheny 14-7. Also in 1A East, it was Havre de Grace over Cambridge 26-22. On Saturday, it'll be Fayette versus Edmondson West Side. That'll fill out that bracket in 1A. Of course, as we mentioned, the big upset tonight coming in 4A East, as it was one of the big upsets tonight coming in 4A East, as it was the Broadneck Bruins knocking off the Old Mill Patriots by a count of 7-0 tonight, as Broadneck gets some revenge for their loss to the Patriots in last year's playoffs. Also, some revenge for their loss earlier in the season to the Patriots of Old Mill. Had a chance to catch up with the head coach of Broadneck earlier on. That would be Rob Harris. Coach Harris, a huge win for you guys tonight, knocking off undefeated Ole Mill 7-0. An interesting game to say the least. You return the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and then nobody else scores. Talk about that opening play, I guess, first off. How'd you break one?
Well, we ran a reverse against North Point last week, and so we wanted to run a fake reverse, and what we've known is people were going to follow number one around. And so when we busted out the fake reverse, our kid is a pretty talented kid, and he just decided he wanted to score, and we said, we'll take it.
Yeah, most definitely. Obviously, you want to score in a game like that, but a big way to go ahead and start things off. Now, obviously, your defense came up large in this one as well, and you talk about it, got Ali Niumatalolo back there, and according to what reports I'm seeing, he played one heck of a game, but obviously an entire defense has to play great to hold a team like Ole Mill down like you did. How'd you guys do it?
Defensively, we were lights out. We've been playing at one of the highest levels school's defense has played in a long time. We held North Point, who was undefeated, to no first downs in the second half of our first playoff game, and then we go into Ole Mill, and honestly, we can't even tell you when's the last time they've been shut out, and they were undefeated. So our defense has been playing at an incredibly high level here in the last two games. Is
there any secret to it, how your guys have kind of maybe brought their level of play up, or is it just things are just kind of going your way right now?
I don't know if there's any secret, but we prepare the kids. They prepare themselves, and they are hungry. They're real hungry. And they're aggressive, and they're mean, and they want it.
Yeah, most definitely. Talking to Rob Harris, head coach of the Broadneck Bruins, there gets the big win tonight over Ole Mill, 7-0 to advance into the state semifinals. You guys, I think, played Ole Mill as tough as anybody during the regular season. Do you think that gave your guys confidence going into this game that, hey, we can beat these guys?
We definitely felt like that gave us a lot of confidence. They had a fumble, scoop, and score, and they ran a trick pass play for another touchdown. That was 14 points that we thought, you know what, we can take those things away. And if we did that, we'd be right there with them. So, we thought we could play with them for sure.
Coach, I know out in the Anne Arundel area, it seems like the playoffs are always, there's shockers there. There's things fluid. I remember last year, it seems like there were some upsets. How do you guys kind of prepare for that mindset where hey, man, anybody can beat anybody when we get in with this group out here in the playoffs?
Yeah, last year we were undefeated, and Ole Mill took it to us in the playoff game. This year they were undefeated, and I'm not saying we took it to them, but we came out with victory. I'll tell you this: what people don't realize, Anne Arundel County's top teams are tremendously talented football teams. Coach McCormick from Ole Mill and their team is coached as well as anybody in the state, and they have as good as any players in the state. So we're just very fortunate to get the victory today.
Coach, do you have an idea who you're going to be facing off with next?
It looks like we're going to be playing Howard.
Now, I know they're not in your area. Do you know anything yet about the Lions, or is that something you're going to be working on late tonight and tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, they have a power running game and a stud tailback, so we're going to have our hands full.
Well, obviously, you guys did yourselves proud tonight with a 7-0 win, knocking off Ole Mill, getting some revenge for last year for them taking you guys down. Rob Harris, head coach of Broadneck, congratulations on the huge win, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, one second real quick. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, that's from us. Have a great night.
You as well, Rob. And pretty fun there. Obviously, the Bruins having some fun on their bus ride back to school after shocking Ole Mill tonight, 7-0. Broadneck gets the win. They move on in the Maryland playoffs into the state semifinals. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. We'll go ahead and run down the slate from Virginia. A few levels of competition involving local teams there. We'll go ahead and check it all out coming up after this. Remember, if you want to get in touch with us, do it via Twitter at DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. and go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVSTREAM.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. And welcome back into The Final Drive here on DMVStream.com. Remember, if you want to go ahead and get at us, you can go ahead and do it via Twitter with DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Well, we're joined on the show now by the coach of Patuxent, Steve Crounce. His team with a nice win tonight as they knock off Gwynn Park in their 2A playoff matchup, a 16-14 win for Patuxent. That one, Coach Crounce, thanks for joining us and congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's funny, right before we came on, you kind of talked about the fact that this one was a war for you guys tonight, just a really hard-fought, rugged game. Can you get across just how physical and rugged this game was?
Well, in the first half, we stalled out on a couple drives early, and we decided in the second half to go to more power football. We put a sophomore, Reese Crounce, in that quarterback. A lot of quarterback runs, a lot of physical downhill runs, and try to control the line of scrimmage and keep the ball out of Aaron Parker's hands. And it worked out beautifully for the kids.
Yeah, most definitely. And I saw that. And obviously, Reese, your son, and coming into the game was and I know he's played quarterback for you, and he kind of had some switching off early in the season. Was he running from the quarterback spot, and were those design runs?
Yeah, they were quarterback runs, quarterback counters, quarterback powers. Tyler Gross and Chris Long did a great job of, we kept trying to mix it up, trying to keep them off balance. Went to a little double tight in the second half to try to balance up their front, try to be real physical. Got hats off to the offensive line. I mean, they're a little bit undersized, and they really got off the ball, got into people, and we just try to, we just try to play Patuxent football, physical, good defense, and worked out for us tonight.
Yeah,
but, Jalen Gross did a good job too. Just we had to go to a different style. Jalen's a passer and he has some good speed, but we needed to be more physical. And given those quarterback runs, it's almost like making a defense defend 12 guys. So we were trying to simplify it for our kids and just let them get off the ball and get physical.
And obviously it worked for you. And not only do you go ahead and get the win, but you also, in doing so, you kind of slow down the other side. Was that important for you, thought, to go into the game to be able to control the ball and give Gwynn Park just less chances with it?
Absolutely. Our kids did a pretty good job early of moving the sticks when we had to. Jalen made some big passes in the first half to move the sticks, kept the ball out of his hands. But Aaron Parker is one of the most dynamic kids that we've played against in a couple of years. Watching him on film was a nightmare. I mean, the kid's got speed. He's big. He's physical. And I think his arm is I don't think people talk about his arm, but he's got a cannon. And so, And again, Gwynn Park team who is, a perennial power, and they're going to have athletes all over the field. It poses a lot of problems for us as far as getting our kids in the right spots. But like I said, they responded beautifully tonight.
Talking to Steve Crounse, head coach of Patuxent, his squad with a win over Gwynn Park tonight, 16-14 to advance to the state semifinals in Maryland. Coach, I know Gwynn Park obviously knocked off a good Thomas Stone team last week. Did you feel that it was a little bit beneficial for you guys to kind of get a chance to see what they could do against a team maybe in your area as opposed to maybe kind of catching them cold like Stone did last week?
Well, no question. But I'll tell you, it also, it also put a little bit of a chill down our spine because, Thomas Stone, last 2 years has stood up to us physically. And, so going into that game and watching that film and watching Gwynn Park, slow down their option attack and really, turn the tables in that game after the first score, we knew they were a different animal than Thomas Stone. But we respect the heck out of Thomas Stone and what they do year in, year out. And we also respect the heck out of Coach Hayes and what he does year in, year out. So we knew either way it was going to be one of those games that came down to one of the last couple of possessions.
Yeah, and that it did. You go ahead and get the 16-14 win. Of course, you talked about it. You guys fell to Thomas Stone earlier in the season. You also lost to Calvert, so you get revenge on that one. You get the win tonight. How sky high are your kids feeling right now? Do you think as you guys have kind of got this thing going in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, my seniors had a chance to play in the state finals in 2013 and played a really tremendous Middletown team, and really, the goal has always been to try to get back. Once you get that feeling of getting into the bank, I mean, it's addiction. You want to try to get back there. So, we're definitely got to play a real good Dunbar team, but we get to play them at home, and we know, we're not looking past them at all. That's a team that has a million state championships. They always figure out a way to win, just like last year. So, but for our kids tonight, I mean, it's a great, great feeling. And, I think the two losses, I think that was, two losses aren't ever good, but, for our maturation process and our development of leaders and us getting resolve, I think it's been really a blessing for us because I think the kids, they're finding a way to win now instead of finding a way to lose. And I think their resolve has been tremendous.
And Coach Crounse, one more. We'll get you out of here on this one. You guys, I'm going to say you get lucky, but it kind of benefited your way that Gwynn Park pulled that upset and you go ahead and get the games at your place. Did you ever think, one, that you would go ahead and be looking at now 3 home games in the playoffs before a possible state championship? And how good is it to be playing in front of your home crowd in Lusby?
Well, first of all, I mean, week 10, we weren't even sure we were going to get into the playoffs. I mean, we had to beat Westlake. And, again, another great athletic football team. And, so we went from not sure we were even going to get into the dance to hosting all 3. It's just crazy. I mean, we can't, it's kind of a shake your head moment. But playing in front of our people in Lusby is great. I mean, we have a great community. We have great parents. The student body can gets to rally and be there to support us, give us the juice that we need to, when it gets emotional, it's good to have your people there backing you up. So, I mean, like I said, it's a blessing, but it's still a football game played out 100 yards, and we're going to have to block and tackle to win.
Well, congratulations on tonight's win, and congratulations and good luck the rest of the way. Steve Crounse, head coach of Patuxent, gets the big win tonight over Gwynn Park. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Of course, Coach Crounse just had his 100th win of the season earlier on in the year, and I'm sure he would love nothing better to cap that campaign with a state championship appearance and maybe a state championship win as well in 2A. Let's go ahead and get you up to date on some of the Virginia scores that we, at least the local ones first. We may get into the rest of the Virginia stuff later on in the show, but locally, we saw a couple things down. Remember Hilton playing in the 6A South region. They go down with the Virginia Beach and Richmond teams, and a tough one tonight as Hilton actually tied this one up late, but then falls in a late field goal to Thomas Dale by a count of 17-14. So Hilton's second seed actually looked like they were going to have maybe an easy way through as the top seed had got knocked off last week. Well, this week it's number 2 seed Hilton falling to Thomas Dale. 6A North, South County County wins tonight pretty easily over 9th-seeded West Potomac, 42-9. Elsewhere, it was number 2 seed Lake Braddock over number 7 seed Battlefield, 13-10. So a close one for the Bruins, but they stay alive. Also a close one tonight for number 3 seed Westfield as they beat South Lakes 24-13. South Lakes, the 6th seed there, actually led 13-10. That before a fourth quarter kickoff return touchdown by Tavon Green gave Westfield the lead back, and then they added a late one on a Tyler Scanlon touchdown pass. Close one for number 5 Robinson tonight. They got 13th-seeded Chantilly in what amounted to a Conference 5 matchup in Virginia. And Robinson gets a late touchdown pass to beat the Chargers 31-24. Elsewhere, tonight there was an interesting one down in 5A South as 3-time defending state champion LC Bird fell to Hermitage 21-12. So Bird's run is over. None of the local teams get a chance for any revenge on them. 5A North, where your local teams are, number 1 seed Massaponax beat Potomac Falls, the 9 seed, 28-7. It was number 2 Tuscarora over number 10 Atlee, 42-21. Interesting thing in this one was Huskies actually trailed in this one 14-0, and I believe 21-7 before ripping off basically all their points, so outscoring Atlee 42-7 to close the game. Number 3 seed Brook Point fell to number 6 seed North Stafford. It was number 5 seed Stonebridge routing number 4 seed Broad Run 35-10. 4 different Bulldogs scored rushing touchdowns in that contest. Again, the Bulldogs will move on to face Massaponax next week. Tuscarora will go ahead and host North Stafford next week. Elsewhere, in some of the 4A teams locally in 4A West, it was number 2 seed Champ beating GW Danville 16-13 on a field goal late in that one for the Knights. They stay undefeated at 11-0. They'll face Salem next, who beat Amherst tonight 35-7. It was number 5 seed Woodgrove pulling the upset on number 4 seed Sharando. Wolverines win that one 35-21. The Wolverines will go ahead and face off with number 1 seed Jefferson Forest, who beat Millbrook tonight 35-21. Other locals, number 3 Brentsville fell to number 2 seed in 3A East, James Monroe, 34-16. Also, don't have a final on this one, but it was we believe that Clark County with a big win over Falls Church's George Mason tonight. So George Mason sees their season end. We're going to take another break, and coming up after this, we will hear from the head coach of the Good Counsel Falcons, the legendary Bob Malloy. Checked in with him earlier on in the day. We'll hear what Coach Malloy has to say about that big matchup this weekend at Byrd Stadium, the WCAC Championship against DeMatha. That's all coming up right after this. Remember, if you want to go ahead and get at us, do it via Twitter, DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burn ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of the Final Drive. For more information about advertising on the Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. Welcome back into the Final Drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. Had a chance earlier on in the day to catch up with the legendary Bob Malloy, the head coach of Good Counsel. Of course, his team getting ready to face off with DeMatha in that Sunday night matchup, if you will, more Sunday evening. But by the time they actually get started, it probably will be under the lights at Byrd Stadium. Coach Malloy, again, good enough to give us some time on the show earlier today. Talked a lot about what's going on with that matchup, about the Falcons season as well. Also, the complete interview of this one can be found on the DMVStream.com under our blog section. Talked a little bit about Coach Malloy's career. This part of the interview, more about the matchup on Sunday against DeMatha, and also how the Falcons have gone on the year. So again, my interview from earlier today with the head coach of the Good Counsel Falcons, the legendary Bob Malloy. Well, Coach Malloy, obviously one of the fine wins in your time at Good Counsel came last week as you knocked off Gonzaga, and really an interesting one as they kind of put it on you guys in the regular season. You kind of almost by the same score in the playoff game. Talk about how your guys were able to kind of come back and turn things around against the Eagles.
Well, first of all, Jeremy, in the first game, it was 7-7 at halftime, and we just played an awful, second half. I mean, we made 4 turnovers, and Gonzaga had a short field like 3 times, and we didn't feel that, take away the turnovers, that, it was anybody's game. And so the second time, we were able to cut our turnovers down to 1, and we were able to do okay against them.
Most definitely, as you win it by a few scores. And it seemed like, again, in that game, you kind of blew it open late in the matchup, getting some play out of your passing game, the flea flicker there. I guess we'd have to ask you, whose call was that to go with the flea flicker there early in the second half?
Well, we worked on it, we work on it actually every week. And, we had the win. And it's a good, thought might be a good first down play. And, fortunately, it works. It doesn't always work, but fortunately it works, so it makes us look smart.
One reason I'm sure it worked was because you're running back Muhammad Ibrahim, a 1,500-yard back on the season, a really quality back there, and obviously kind of setting that up. Talk about what he's been able to do for you guys this year and through his career.
Well, he's a great player. He's he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's awful rugged. And, the Rigo pass, we give it to Mo, and actually it was Stott that did the flip back. But, either one of them, we're it's no secret. We're an off-tackle team. And, when you take 2 steps to the line of scrimmage, people are going to react to it. And that time it just worked. But getting back to Mo, I mean, he carries the ball sometimes, 25, 30 times a game, and he gets hit too. He gets hit and he takes it, and he just he gets hit, but he also hits people too. He goes after. He doesn't like to run out of bounds too much, and he's the backbone of our offense. There's no question about it. And he's only a junior, so we got him another year.
Of course, talking about rugged players, you got one on your defensive side with Keandre Jones, your quality linebacker. Obviously, looking back, really, you kind of made a play that helped keep your season going. When you look back on it in hindsight, the black punt against the McNamara was so important for you guys to go ahead and win that game and make sure you got into the playoffs. Talk about his performance on the year and his performance as a whole in this good counsel program.
Well, he's the he's a senior. He's the top guy on our team. He, last week I think we had 8 kickoffs against Gonzaga. He made 7 tackles on kickoffs, and he's, the defense is built around him, and he's a great player. He's a Under Armour All-American guy, and he doesn't mind doing special teams. He's on the punt team actually, and the extra point block, and I think he's on the kickoff. He's on all our special teams, I believe, and he just wants to be out there, and he's the most modest, humble guy you ever want to meet. He's all about his team, and that's all he wants to talk about.
Talking to good counsel head coach Bob Malloy, his squad getting ready for another WCAC championship game matchup against DeMatha. Coach, if we could, can we jump back to that regular season game? 28-23, you guys fall in that one, but you had a chance to win it at the end. Can you give us a quick thumbnail on how you thought that game went for you guys against the Stags?
Well, you can't take away the fact that, for some reason, number 2 and number 5 did not play in the first half against us. And not that they missed them that much. Number 6 gained 100 yards in one half against us. So, I don't know why, but then when they put them in the second half, their offense even got better. But, hey, we hung in there, and finally, we had a turnover, and, they were going in for probably the finishing score. We had a turnover, and we got some life and scored a couple more times. And we were thrown in the end zone there the last play of the game, and, didn't make it. But, DeMatha's a really good team. They're really explosive on offense, and the defense, they're very, very well coached. And so, we're looking forward to it. We've had a good week of practice, and strange things have happened in that WCAC championship game.
And we know that last year you guys were the top seed. They knocked you off. Any keys to a win for you guys? Things that you have to do this weekend to go ahead and get a victory over the Stags?
Well, I think we've got to somehow contain number 2 and number 5. They're both really, really good players, and the quarterback is he's a good leader. He seems to get the ball where they need it to go, and if you stop the run, then he can hit a pass on you. So we've got our work cut out for us. It's hard to say, but I guess the key to it would be if we could somehow limit their running game a little bit, certainly a lot better than we did last time. Would be very, crucial to us getting through here successfully.
Coach, they've made a lot about the 10 out of 12 meetings, or meeting 10 out of the last 12 WCAC championship games. So, of course, by my count, that's almost playing these guys 2 times a year over that 12-year span. Is there anything left you guys don't know about each other when it comes to game planning, or is this kind of, okay, we know what you guys are going to do, Elijah knows what you're going to do, we just go play football now?
Well, to be honest with you, you never know what Dino is going to do on defense. He's very good. He's very sound. And, if you see a 4-man line the first game, you're liable to see a 3-man line in the second game. That's just the way he works. And it doesn't matter whether it's 3 or 4. They play it well. So we've worked against both, and we've worked against zone, and we've worked against man. You never really know what. I mean, it's like a final dance in football. I mean, hey, you got to be ready for the 4-2 or the 3-3, and zone, cover 2, cover 3, or man to man, and that's what we've been doing all week long. I mean, we don't know exactly what we're going to, we expect to see their base, which is the 4-3, 4-2, but, we've been prepared for both. So when you get out there, then you start to see, what they're going to settle into. So, but he played like total man against us the first half last week. Came out, played, not last week, first game.
Mm-hmm.
Came out and played 3 deep zone most of the second half. So, but Dino definitely keeps you on you got to be on your guard for him.
That head coach Bob Malloy of the Good Counsel Falcons talking about his team's matchup this weekend against DeMatha. Remember that 5:00 matchup on Sunday, at the University of Maryland's Byrd Stadium. If you want to catch the complete interview with Coach Malloy, you can the rest of the interview, you can hear that up on DMV Stream, our blog section there. Basically, Coach Malloy talks about his legendary career in high school football in Maryland. Of course, he's the all-time wins leader. Also talks about his future in coaching. So it should be interesting. If you want to go ahead and check that out, go ahead and go to DMVSTREAM.com and go ahead and click the link to get to our blog page, and you'll be able to find that snippet, the second half of the interview with head coach Bob Malloy of the Good Counsel Falcons. Of course, that's one championship game being contested this weekend. Another one will be contested down the road in Richmond, but that will involve a local team. That'd be the Bishop Ireton Cardinals, as they look for a little bit of revenge after falling to top-seeded Benedictine last year in the championship game. The Cardinals will go ahead and try again this time around. Their head coach, Tony Verducci, leads them into that contest. Had a chance to catch up with Coach Verducci yesterday to talk about that matchup, where it'll be the Bishop Ireton Cardinals facing off with the Cadets of Benedictine. Well, Tony, last time we talked to you, it was before the game against Episcopal. Obviously, that one didn't go your way, but really since then, a pretty good run to the season, maybe the Benedictine game beside that, but you've kind of finished off on a strong note, some strong wins against John Paul the Great, then last week against Flint Hill in the Vista semifinals. Talk about how your team has played in the second half of the year.
Well, I think that, for starters, we've been really consistent on both offensively and defensively the last couple of weeks, and we're consistently outstanding in our special teams. We're fortunate to have a kicker and a punter who puts us in great field position in all instances. And then offensively, we're healthier than we were in the middle part of the year. Matt Perham, our right tackle, had some health issues, and unfortunately, he's back and playing at a really high level. And our number one quarterback, Walker Venable, came back from a knee injury and has really looked sharp. I think one of those rare circumstances where a couple of weeks on the side and really watching what's going on has given him a better command of the offense. And during his absence, I think, doing some wildcat things with Paris Jones has given us another dimension offensively that forces our opponents to prepare on a little bit broader scope than we've had in the past.
And Coach, you mentioned that injuries being an issue during the middle of the year. I'm sure that may have played into it a bit. But last time out against Benedictine, you guys, at least score-wise, kind of got it handed to you. I know last year both games were much closer than that. What happened the last time you took on the Cadets?
Well, there was no score at the end of the first quarter. We had the ball on the 6-yard line to first play the second quarter, and we had a bad snap, turned the ball over. And obviously Benedictine has not only a tremendous amount of firepower, but I think one of the things that I'm most impressed with is not just their ability to get on a roll, but their tremendous desire to get on a roll. And once we turn the ball over, 2-3 plays, you're down 7. We turned the ball over again. And I think it was just one of those instances where we were trying a little bit too hard. We couldn't get into a good rhythm, and they did a phenomenal job of taking advantage of it. And, at the end of the day, I think the great benefit to us was that we realized that we can't approach a game as an offensive, defense, and a special teams unit. We truly have to approach every game as a team and pull for each other through thick and thin. And we've done a phenomenal job of that since we got back from Benedictine.
Yeah, you talk about it as a team. The All-Med Sports had a pretty good article on you guys this week talking about maybe being a bit of an unheralded team. You got some stars there, but maybe not that many, really a team group. Do you feel that's been the strength of this team, is kind of pulling together as one?
I do, because we returned 8 starters on defense from last year, and everybody knows Corey Johnson, our corner, who's really a special player, rehabbed from a shoulder injury and is playing his best football of the year right now. But we've got guys like Bernie Hayes, who is a standout linebacker, Trey Levisone, Joseph Langer on the defensive line. So we've felt like part of the issue is it's hard to really gain a lot of attention if you just have a lot of really good players, which from a coach's perspective is not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Similarly on offense, I think, Pat Gallagher, our left tackle, has been a consistent leader on our team. Paris is a terrific young man. And, Ryan Verducci, God bless him, has a great football IQ, and he's caught just about every ball we've thrown his way, and that's helped us as well.
Coach, want to ask you, we kind of got into the game a little bit, but wanted to get back to it. And obviously turnovers will be a key, holding onto the ball. But what are some keys for you guys to be able to go ahead and get a win and win a Vista title this weekend against Benedictine?
I think to understand that we're coming prepared to play 48 minutes. We can't look up at the scoreboard at any given point in time and get too worried. I think that's one of the things, even last year in the championship game, we were in good shape. We were down by 3 points in the fourth quarter, turned the ball over, and we were still in good position to attack. And I think we panicked a little bit. And again, they're like sharks. If they get that scent of blood in the water, they just do a great job of attacking. And so I think that's it. You have to avoid 3 and outs. You need to make them play defense. Because they want to play offense, but they take great pride in their defense as well. And so I think that's a big part of the game, is being able to possess the ball. And one thing that we did not do well last year was we had a couple of red zone possessions that we did not come away with points on. And especially early in the game, you've got to take advantage of those opportunities.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the season so far, and good luck on Saturday against the quality Benedictine team. Bishop Ireton head coach Tony Verducci, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
And Coach Verducci, again, nice enough to join us on the show. His team getting ready to face the good Benedictine team tomorrow, but again, a game that Ireton will see if they can kind of turn some things around and maybe go ahead and pull the upset and get the win tomorrow down in Richmond and get that Vista title they have been craving there in Alexandria. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be back to go ahead and wrap things up. We'll take another look at the scoreboard. We'll also hear from head coach of Eastern High School, Jason Strickland, about his team's win last night. And now they'll advance in the DCIA Stripes division, looking for that Gravy Bowl championship. It's in front of them. We will hear from Coach Strickland about that in just a bit. Remember, if you want to go ahead and tweet us, do it at DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. More after this. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of the Final Drive. For more information about advertising on the Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. Welcome back into the Final Drive. One segment left on the show tonight. It has been a pretty good one. We've heard from a lot of coaches tonight. Going to hear from one more, Jason Strickland, head coach of the Eastern Ramblers, coming up in just a bit. Let's go ahead and run down the scoreboard for you. Of course, the WCAC championship game, that'll be on Sunday. DeMatha and Good Counsel. The Vista championship game, as we just heard from head coach Tony Verducci of Ireton, his squad taking on Benedictine tomorrow. DCIA Stars action tonight. It was top-seeded Wilson getting by Ballou 37-34. They'll face HD Woodson in the Turkey Bowl on Thanksgiving. Woodson beats Dunbar 29-7. DCIA Stripes, that was on Thursday night. Number 1 seed Bell routs McKinley Tech 50-16. Number 2 seed Eastern routs Theodore Roosevelt 47-12. And Bell and Eastern will face off in the Gravy Bowl. That'll be played on Tuesday night. The winner of that game will go ahead and face off with the winner of tomorrow's semifinal in the DCSA Class A, as Murray and Sidwell Friends face off tomorrow, 1 p.m. at Anacostia. Again, winner of that one gets the winner of the Gravy Bowl next weekend. In Maryland, it was 4A West, number 3 seed Northwest shocking number 1 seed Quince Orchard 50-40. 4A South, Eleanor Roosevelt falls to number 1 seed Wise 33-14. In 4A North, number 1 seed Howard, they move on again into the state semifinals, beating number 2 seed Sherwood 34-14. And in 4A East, it was a shocker as number 3 seed Broadneck upends number 1 seed Old Mill 7-0. Return the opening kickoff of the game, the only score of the contest. So as this, according to MarylandPrepFootball.com, your setup for the state's semifinals in 4A will be Northwest traveling to Wise next week. So if the Jaguars are going to go ahead and continue their run of state championships, they have to go through Wise to do it. It'll be number 3 seed Broadneck traveling to Howard, as Coach Rob Harris told us earlier on in the show. 3A, Damascus all over Seneca Valley tonight in 3A West, 45-3. Jake Funk moved in second all-time on the Maryland touchdowns list for high schoolers. In 3A South, that will be tomorrow. It'll be number 1 seed Potomac hosting number 2 seed Wheaton in a 1 o'clock start. In 3A North, number 2 Dundalk beats number 1 seed Franklin 20-6. Franklin's run as defending state champs ends with that loss. Number 1 seed Reservoir will go in 3A East, beat number 3 seed Glenelg 10-7. Right now, it'll depend on the game tomorrow between Potomac and Wheaton, as Damascus will be your number 1 seed. Dundalk will be your number 2 seed. It could be either or, depending on how that one goes tomorrow, where Potomac will go, where Reservoir will go in the contest next week. 2A West saw Walkersville upset number 2 seed South Carroll 17-14. Number 2 seed Patuxent beat number 4 seed Gwynn Park in 2A South. So Patuxent moves on in that one. They'll go ahead and face Dunbar next. Dunbar beat Patterson in 2A North 20-8. 2A East saw North Carolina beat Elkton 35-13. North Carolina hosting Walkersville in their contest. Class 1A, only local team there, it was number 2 seed Forestville over number 1 seed Manchester Valley 50-6. So as Forestville move on, they're the lowest seed, but playing pretty well right now. They'll get defending 2-time state champs, number 1 seed Fort Hill out of 1A West, who beat Allegheny tonight 14-7. Havre de Grace won tonight over Cambridge in 1A East 26-22. they'll go ahead and get the winner of the 1A South matchup between Fayette and Edmondson West Side. In Virginia, your local teams of note there, number 2 seed Hilton fell in the 6A South bracket, falling to Thomas Dale 17-14. 6A North, number 1 seed South County routed West Potomac 42-9. Number 2 seed Lake Braddock had a close one. They beat Battlefield 13-10. It was number 3 Westfield over South Lakes 24-13. Number 5 seed Robinson beating Chantilly with a late touchdown pass 31-13. So we believe the how this will break out will be number 1 seed South County hosting Robinson, number 2 seed Lake Braddock hosting Westfield next week. So should be 2 very good games in that one. Of course, maybe about as good of a matchup you can expect from a lower seed when it comes to South County. Likes to push the pace a bit. Robinson, a team that likes to go ahead and run some clock and run the football. Interesting news out of 5A South down in the Richmond area. LC Burr, the 3-time defending state champs, that run is done. They fell to Hermitage tonight, 21-12. Some teams gunning for that state championship in 5A. In 5A North, number 2 Tuscarora rebounded from a 14-0 hole to start the game. They beat Atlee tonight 42-21. They'll get North Stafford to upset number 3 seed Brook Point 35-33. Stonebridge, the 5th seed in 5A North, beat number 4 seed Broad Run in the Battle of the Burn 35-10. Bulldogs will face top seed Massaponax next week as they beat 9th seed Potomac Falls of Sterling 28-7. Elsewhere locally, 4A West, it was 2 seed Champ knocking off 7 seed GW Danville 16-13 to stay unbeaten on a late field goal. Champ will get powerhouse Salem, who beat Amherst tonight 35-7. Elsewhere in 4A West, it was local Woodgrove of Purcellville beating 4 seed Sharando 35-21. Wolverines will face off with top seed Jefferson Forest next week. JF beat Millbrook of Winchester 35-21. Your other locals who faced off tonight, number 3 seed Brentsville and 3A East fell to number 2 seed James Monroe 34-16. Also, it was Clark County beating George Mason. Don't have a final on that one yet, though we know the game is going final, and Clark County had a big lead in that one. So we believe we can call that one. Actually, just got a final in. It was 47-0. Clark County beat George Mason. So Mason's nice season ends. Of course, Mason, the lone small school in the Fairfax area. So they end up falling in that one. It's in the Falls Church area. They end up falling in that contest 47-0. They see their season end. Well, one team that will try to see their season continue will be the Eastern Ramblers. They will face off on Tuesday night against Bell in a rematch of their regular season contest, a thriller there. Eastern and Bell will face off in the Gravy Bowl on Tuesday night. Winner of that one moves on in the DC SAA playoffs. Will get the winner of Murray and Sidwell Friends in the Class A championship game. Had a chance to catch up earlier in the day with the head coach of the Eastern Ramblers, Jason Strickland. Talked about his team's win over Theodore Roosevelt last night and also their matchup upcoming against Bell. Well, Coach Strickland, a good win for you guys last night as you knock off Roosevelt 47-12. Talk about the performance of your team in that contest.
Well, everything's pretty much been coming together this time of the year. The kids are hungry to perform well in the playoffs and to try to defend our championship. So, yeah, everything pretty much came together last night, throwing the ball, running the ball defensively, and everything like that.
Yeah, and again, you guys kind of have dual championships you're looking to go ahead and defend this year. And one of the guys that's really key to that is your quarterback, Jerome Johnson. Talk about his performance in that game last night and really throughout the year for you.
Well, Jerome is coming into his own as a quarterback for our team and taking on more leadership roles and becoming a captain of the team. His play has never really been the problem. He's just had to grow up mentally as a leader for us, and he's done an exceptional job of that over the past few weeks.
Coach, for guys who may not have seen Jerome, what kind of skill set does he bring to the field for your Rambler squad?
He brings that dual threat mentality where when things break down or you choose to blitz more than we can block, he's able to find receivers downfield or take it upon himself to run the football if need be.
Coach, well, he gets a lot of your play, but there are some other guys on this team who have really stood out for you. Who are some guys maybe folks should be looking out for as y'all move through the playoffs?
Trayvon Battle, our receiving core with Taquan Burton, Brian Mason, David Johnson at tight end, our running back tandem of Kadeem Preston and Angelo Tyree. Defensively, we're coming on with John Johnson, of course, is one of our staples in the defensive backfield. Charles Ellis is coming along in his junior year at middle linebacker for us. We just added Martin Bigelow and Javon Belt onto the team on the playoff squad. So, yeah, we're pretty deep going into this playoff run.
Yeah, and obviously that one's going to culminate, at least the DCIA part of it, against Bell. You lost to him earlier in the season in a real classic matchup. Same kind of thing happened last year where you lost to him close in the regular season, beat them in the playoffs. Talk about the upcoming matchup with Bell next week.
Well, actually, last year we played them 3 times. The first time we had a little bit of an injury bug where we didn't have all our kids. And then the second time we beat them 44-22. And then we beat them again in the city championship, I believe 34-12. So, yeah, we went 2-1 against them last year. This previous matchup, it was pretty much a slobber match where we just went back and forth with them. And then they just, they outplayed us that night. Hopefully we'll be able to do better this time around.
What are some things that concern you about the Griffins?
They're smashing our football team. They're gonna run that power game right at you. Then they have the bootleg with their little quarterback that's pretty effective. And of course, they have Mr. Brooks. So we have to try to contain him as best we can.
Because of the rainouts earlier in the season, unlike the Stars teams, you guys kind of had your schedule and playoffs compressed, where you're going Tuesday and then going on Thursday, then coming back Tuesday, then playing on Saturday. How do you get your guys ready for that gauntlet of a playoff run?
Well, actually, myself and Dr. Briscoe, our athletic director, we kind of calculated it last night. If the state championship stays as scheduled, which we hope they kind of help us out and maybe reschedule a little bit, we'll have to play 3 games in 10 days. Whereas we played Thursday yesterday, we have to play in the city championship on Tuesday. And then if we win on Tuesday, the winner of that game has to play Saturday after Thanksgiving. So that's pretty a tough gauntlet to go through during the holidays. But we'll try to get through it as best we can if we have that opportunity.
When do you think you guys might know something on whether things will move around a little bit?
I spoke briefly with Mr. Clark Ray, the athletic director of the state office. He said that there were some discussions between them and Catholic University about maybe discussing it, but he'll let us know when they know something. I'm sure of.
Well, we hope for y'all's sake that you do get a chance to move that back so both teams come to that thing fresh, but we also know that your Ramblers will be ready no matter what the circumstances they face. Jason Strickland, head coach of Eastern, congratulations on the win last night. And again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Coach Jason Strickland joining us here on the final drive. That's going to go ahead and do it for us on the show tonight. So many folks to thank, and what was a really good show as we wind things down. We plan on being back next week for the Thanksgiving edition, or the few days after, a day after Thanksgiving edition, I should say, of the final drive. But still a lot of games, still a lot of local teams going on. We'll check in with some coaches for that one. But again, want to thank Coach Strickland of Eastern. Also want to thank the head coach of the Bishop Ireton Cardinals, Tony Verducci, his squad playing a matchup tomorrow, the Vista State Championship against Benedictine. Also, Steve Crounce, his Patuxent squad, with a big win tonight over Gwynn Park to advance to the Maryland State semifinals in 2A. Also, Rob Harris, his Broadneck Bruins, with a big win tonight, knocking off Old Mill in the 4A East finals in Maryland. They move on to the state semis as well with a 7-0 win. And, of course, got to thank the legendary Bob Malloy joining us on the show tonight. Good counsel and DeMath this weekend in the WCAC Championship, a Sunday start, 5 o'clock at Bird Stadium. Want to see some good football, get out there and watch that. Of course, a lot of good football being played in the area. Go ahead and try and check it all out if you can. A few games tomorrow as well. Get out and see those if you can as well. Again, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with more of the Final Drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. I'm Jeremy Huber. Thanks for listening. And again, we'll see you next week.